But as awkward as all of that was this morning, the really awkward moment came a few hours later when the literal King of England, typically a non-political, kind of boring speechmaker, used his speech to Congress in part to remind them of how democracy and executive power are supposed to work. And here he was talking about the shared legal and historical roots between America and Great Britain.
The U.S. Supreme Court Historical Society has calculated that Magna Carta is cited in at least 160 Supreme Court cases since 1789, not least as the foundation of the principle that executive power is subject to checks and balances.
Sick burn there, King Charles. I mean, to be clear, that was the King of England, obviously, the head of the same monarchy this country was founded to reject, who just told the American Congress how important it is to put checks on the power of an executive. As in, hey guys in the audience, come on in, listen closely. I'm looking at little Mike Johnson. Your literal job is to behave like a separate branch of government, to hold the executive branch to account. And remember that the reason the king is here today is because of Trump's obsession with royalty. He's obsessed. Trump loves to think of himself as a king, and he's not shy about it. And he loves all the things that come around the monarchy. And the White House even posted this image of Trump and King Charles with the caption, "Two Kings," and threw in a little gold crown emoji for good measure. Cool message of the day, guys. Cool. And all of this comes on a day when the president is on one of his absolute tyrannical benders, demanding support for his gaudy ballroom, trying once again to get late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, and trying for the second time to put the former FBI director James Comey in jail. As I was just talking about with Chris, it is like we're stuck in a Groundhog's Day time loop watching Trump try and fail over and over again to show off his power and punish his enemies. Now, what should be even more maddening about all of this is that all of this is happening in the wake of a Saturday night when an attacker tried storming an event that Trump, his cabinet, and thousands of other people were attending in Washington. And there are a lot of ways for a president to react to a traumatic moment like that. I mean, any other president would have responded to that moment with calls for national unity, for calm, perhaps even for reform. I mean, remember that event took place at the same location, same hotel, where John Hinckley Jr. tried to assassinate President Reagan, a moment that eventually, many years later, led to bipartisan gun control and the establishment of the National Background Check System. But for Donald Trump, the attack on the White House Correspondents Center has just become, well, an opportunity to just replay his greatest hits and prioritize things that so few people outside of his inner circle and his minions in Congress care about. Seriously. I mean, how many people are in the Arrest James Comey Club? Is there a big T-shirt club out there? How many people out there are staying up at night stewing over a joke Jimmy Kimmel made last week? And how many Americans are clamoring for the freaking ballroom he can't stop talking about? Better yet, how many Arrest Comey, Fire Kimmel, Build the Ballroom voters are there as a coalition in this country? But of course, that's not the point. The point is, those are the things Trump himself personally wants. And so in the immediate aftermath of the attack on Saturday night, MAGA influencers everywhere immediately started posting to social media that this has all somehow justified Trump's fixation with building a new ballroom. And then Republican members of Congress dutifully followed suit, echoing those arguments.
This is why we need the ballroom. It really is.
So it's critical that we get this project done as quickly as possible.
I think we got to build that ballroom as soon as possible. There is no better example of why this ballroom is necessary.
The ballroom makes total sense.
A ballroom is imperative for a lot of reasons.
Now everybody knows how badly needed it is.
The ballroom will be a solution for this.
We need the ballroom.
I mean, it's not surprising, but it's so sad. I mean, aside from the destruction of a historic part of the White House we've already watched happen, and all the money, whether it's taxpayer money, which obviously is completely galling, and there's a new call for that, or all of the gaudy design choices Trump wants to put in place for his legacy, which is what I think this is largely about. The argument makes no sense to begin with. I mean, is every president just going to stay locked up in the White House, only speaking and attending events that happen there, only with crowds that the White House vets, controls, and invites? Not how it's ever worked. And even for the defenders of the existence of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that would mean the White House and not the media organizations who throw this dinner decide who attends. Good luck to anyone but Newsmax and maybe Fox News on their very well best behaved days. And does that mean the White House controls every single person who would ever be deemed worthy of attending an event with the president? And maybe they would probably see that as a benefit in this particular White House. But think about it another way. Does that mean Trump won't attend any more outdoor rallies he loves so much or political conventions where he can dance to his heart's content to YMCA or whatever other crazy song is on his playlist? All for security reasons? He's not going to do any of that? All that seems highly unlikely. But that didn't stop the president from immediately using this attack as an excuse to promote his favorite pet project. Over the last 3 days, Trump has repeatedly used the attack to push for his ballroom and lashed out at the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is suing him to stop the ballroom's construction. And late last night, Trump's lawyers filed a new motion in that lawsuit, citing the attack as justification for why the ballroom is necessary for national security reasons. And you can sort of tell when you read this that Trump was involved in drafting that new motion, because the whole thing reads like a completely unhinged Angry Truth social post. Random capitalizations and all of it. Here's part of what it says, quote, "The National Trust for Historic Preservation is a beautiful name, but even their name is fake. They are very bad for our country. They were asked by the United States military not to bring this suit because of the top secret nature of the important facility being built, but this did not deter them because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, commonly referred to as TDS." Man, is it? Suddenly, this all sounds very much not like a serious legal argument, to state the obvious. I'm sure there's a lot of case law on made-up diseases and names that Trump thinks are beautiful but fake. Not sure it's effective.